All right, good morning, folks. Chris Dagger right here, off Bishop Street Podcast 2.0, with yet another episode with my good friend, Olalekan, whom I still cannot pronounce the last name. So, Olalekan, please present yourself again for folks that are tuning in for the first time. Actually, you know what? Come closer a bit. There we go. Yeah.
So, my name is Adediran Olalekan. Adediran Olalekan.
You know what? Let me take a shot at that. So, Adediran Olalekan.
Yeah.
All right, we got it. There we go. So, Adediran Olalekan is back, right, as per his request, on this wonderful podcast, wannabe radio show, actually, off Bishop Street. So we're really off Bishop Street right here, next to the Hall building near Concordia University, actually at Concordia University, and in this wonderful Bernard Lonergan room. So we have everything Bernard Lonergan surrounding us, a whole bunch of books on the shelf. Dude, we're almost done the Bernard Lonergan class. Isn't that amazing?
Say that again. Say that again.
The what?
Say that again.
Say what? Bernard Lonergan?
That we're almost done.
Yeah, that we're almost done. Yeah, we're kind of sick of hearing his name. Actually, respect to the great Bernard Lonergan.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
The joy that we're almost done gives me hope. You know, the first day of class where people are saying, I read this book, I did not understand. I was like, no, when I read it, maybe I will understand. But I think I was lost when I read it. But I'm just happy we're almost done with the course.
Well, yeah, I like to do things more in advance. So like my readings were already completed a couple of weeks before last week. Like I kind of like wrapped everything up before we actually tackled the last chapters. And so let's talk a bit about Bernard Lonergan for now that we're wrapping up the course. I've never read a book that is so philosophically extensive on particular matters. Like he really likes to enumerate different things, to compartmentalize different ideas, and to really go in deeper and deeper, multiple layers of depth to explain his topics, right? And I think if you guys want to look him up, his name is Bernard Lonergan. He's a Quebecois. He's from Quebec, actually, I believe Irish, and he's one of the greatest theological philosophical minds that you can look him up. So look up Bernard Lonergan, and you're probably going to find a whole bunch of reading material if you're into philosophy and theology and even psychology to a certain point.
When I first came to Canada, that was when I heard about Leonard Lonergan.
Right.
And when I came here, Dr. Lucien was giving me a talk and said that is the library of Leonard Lonergan. I was like, who is that guy?
Who is that guy, right?
But now I know like that guy is what having a library. I think the guy there should be a monument for him. Maybe like a building named after him, whether in Concordia or in Quebec. I'll go check that out.
I was in Austria 2 summers ago, right? And we pit stopped at one of these grocery shops, convenience stores, and they were selling in the grocery shop in accessories aisle. They were selling small busts, like the head and shoulder miniature statues, like this big, of Mozart. The great musician Mozart. Pretty much everybody knows Mozart. So I mean, if there are stores that sell religious items and material, they could sell mini Bernard Lonergans.
Yeah.
Right. And I would definitely purchase one of those because I'm a huge collector. I like doing tourism. When I go to different countries, I bring back a whole bunch of souvenirs. I like giving souvenirs to my friends.
We are expecting you in Nigeria.
The what?
We are expecting you in Nigeria.
Oh yeah, well for sure. Yeah, and I'll probably buy some good Nigerian souvenirs as well.
Yeah.
So do you miss Nigeria, by the way?
Well, last year December during the Christmas, I missed Nigeria. Yeah, I really missed because it's a yearly period for us. It's always like ceremony from one place to another. You see your family members, but here I was lonely. Then my brother came from the States to come and visit me, which sparkled up my spirit again. So I miss Nigeria, but now I think I'm used to it. I'm used to loneliness.
Right. Are you getting used to cold or like the freezing rain that happened last night? We lost power, by the way. Like
the freezing rain. That was the first time I'm witnessing the freezing rain.
Right.
And I like the fact that it made the trees beautiful. I don't know,
right.
Because the water iced on those branches, and it now made it beautiful. I wanted to take a picture of it, but it was I didn't expect it like that. I was just expecting rain and it to be cold, but wow, so many things I'm learning.
Yeah, like dangling icicles off the branches, like it does decorate the trees, but
Yeah.
then again, the whole city turns into a massive skating rink, right? And not everybody has the budget to buy ice skates or whatever, so you got to be careful on your every step. So
I had light though.
the what?
I had light.
Yeah, what light? Oh, you
I
had
had
light
light.
at your house. Okay,
Yeah, I
lucky
had
you.
light.
Because the thing is, like we were losing light, power would get back on, lose it again, power get, but then we just lost it completely at around 8:15, and I've rarely slept that early, right at 8:15 p.m.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So how do you people feel when they take light? When there's power outage like that?
Oh, like it's total chaos. It's like we panic and like we just can't live without electricity. Like I don't know how they used to do it in the Middle Ages. You know when electricity didn't even exist.
Brother, I'm used to that in Nigeria.
Wow.
Because sometimes you can have light for maybe 4 hours a day. Sometimes you can be lucky to have light 10 hours.
Really?
And sometimes they just say, like you do the timetable, like today, there's no light.
Okay.
So that's how I grew up.
Wow. But what do you guys do? Like how do you cope with?
Well, some have generator.
Right.
Some have solar power. They power their life and so. But even my parents, we have to time it. So it's like from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. or 10 p.m. you're on the gen. So by 10, they off the gen.
Wow.
So by 11, they'll bring the light. So you just have to time everything.
I mean, crap. Like sometimes like I think hardships are so underrated that sometimes we need that challenge or difficulty to actually test how resilient we can actually be.
Yeah.
Right, the human person can be very resilient, and yeah, I think it's no secret that in North America we're very cushioned and privileged in the sense that we have so many things at arm's length reach that it really doesn't develop any sense of and people may disagree with that, but I feel like it doesn't develop a sense of perseverance, right? Like when everything's taken for granted, we get so entitled and that kind of thing. Did you have that feeling like when you got here to North America? Like, did you feel like, oh crap, people are so entitled here? Like they're pretty privileged compared to where.
Oh yeah, yeah. I had that, and I was like, but this is
sorry.
land of if I'm hardworking in Nigeria,
Yeah.
and I come here and I'm still hardworking, I can make it.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's more like everything works.
Right.
I get home by 1 a.m., 2 a.m., it works.
Right.
So if Nigerians can do that, if they have enough security, people will still be on the road hustling,
Mm-hmm.
trying to make a living because they know they are also will pave way for them.
Right.
But now it's not like you walk, you don't get it. So if they come in, that's why you see most Nigerians, they hustle and they make it because they don't have what they have here, they don't have it there. So it's like an opportunity.
Right. So they really grasp that opportunity here when they get here, and they're like, okay, well, this is my chance to elevate myself, build myself up, get at a higher status,
Yeah.
and basically I'll exploit the opportunity in the best way that I can. I'm going to work hard and make it here in what we call the land of opportunity.
Yeah.
I mean, a term coined pretty much in the United States, but we can definitely extend that here in Canada to a certain extent.
However, some always misuse it in the sense that they overwork themselves. But I've gotten to a state like contentment is a great gain.
Right.
So it's just do the little you can do, take a rest, do the little you can do, look for the best opportunity, and you'll be fine.
Mm-hmm. But what do you mean by overworking?
Let's say now I'm a student.
Right.
I'm entitled to work 40 hours outside school. There are some that are working 40 hours outside school. No, I cannot do 40 hours outside school. I'm here for school. That's my main priority. That's my main focus.
Right.
So let me just do 20 hours outside school since I have 20 hours inside school already.
Right.
Making 40.
Yeah, I think that's a fair balance, especially with students. And if the students are watching this, hopefully they are. A lot of students, especially those that have been on the market for a while and want to get back to school, it's harder for them once they've got embroidered into the 40-hour cycle,
Yeah.
40 hour per week work week basically. It's hard to let go of that and then diminish some of the work that they do to make money basically, and I respect that, and shift their focus towards studying. And I think a better investment of your time and effort and sweat equity would be uh, well invested, I would say, in studying and building
Yeah.
yourself up. Just like folks that actually go for an MBA. Nowadays, they're trying to make MBAs accessible to people that want to maintain their full time status at work, which I don't know if that's super necessary, right?
Then sometimes, part of what I was saying, money is not everything.
Right.
So I'm doing a voluntary work at St. Mary's Hospital,
Mhm.
and when I tell people, they say, "Don't you need money?" Like this, they ask how many hours am I said 4 hours. That is 4 hours of money. Like, don't you need money? It's like everything is not about money.
Right.
Sometimes you just need to give to people.
Right.
Put smile on someone's face. It's better than having all the money.
Mm-hmm.
So life is all about humanitarian service. If I don't have the money, I have the time that I can give.
Well, I'm really glad that you think that way, because some people are so obsessed with making money that inherently chasing money is a very selfish act that I don't condone at all. Right? Like, I mean, I'm more of a capitalist person. Like, I understand business. I'm huge on sales. I've worked in sales. I work in marketing right now as well. I think making money is very important. Making a lot of money is important, but I'm glad that you have the wherewithal to understand that money is not everything. What exactly is it that you do at the St. Mary's Hospital?
Sometimes you have patients that are looking for directions.
Right.
So I have to direct them. This is where you go to. Do you have an appointment? And then give them numbers.
Okay, so yeah, like a chaplain basically,
Yeah.
helping people. That's very commendable. That's very noble, and especially when people are not at the best of their health. They might need assistance, and that's great.
Because when I first came to Canada, I missed my way like 3 times. I got home like 1 a.m. after leaving work by 10 p.m.
Oh,
that's like 3 hours. I was like, man, is there a mistake coming to Canada? Well, I didn't know how to use the Google map.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So I was like, man, is this a mistake coming to Canada? Because I was just wandering around the street looking for my direction. So when I direct people and they get their way, it gives me peace of mind, because I was lost. I've felt being not getting the way I was going to.
There you go. Yeah. So when you experience a particular hardship, that's when you understand, how it feels, so that you basically develop the awareness for other people not to go through that. And I think that's super important, because when things become relatable, especially when bad circumstances happen, it's really interesting. Like, especially when, like, let's say parents let's say parents had to go through different difficult stuff, right? They oftentimes, in their parental instinct, are going to try to prevent their kids from going through whatever that is, right? And it's the same thing with friendships. Like, if I've been through a bad experience, I'm going to share that with my friends so that they don't have to go through it. And vicariously they can learn from my mistakes, and I can learn from theirs. Right. So I mean, that's a nice exercise of empathy that you've basically trained. Going back to Lonergan, did Lonergan seem to communicate empathy, like from the readings, like in the communications chapter?
I think
Near the end.
Yes. That's the last special functions.
Right. Functional specialty.
Functional specialty. Yeah, it did. Communication is 2 ways. Oh, and I like the prof that came to teach us on communication.
I think it was Richard Bernier.
Richard Bernier. Yeah, he did justice to it. I had this class. I think I told you I deferred to this year. So when I had this class, 2022,
right,
I had D. He gave an assignment. I had D.
Oh yeah, okay.
I was like, man, how will I have D? Well, I didn't even understand the academic system in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
I think at the moment, I'm getting better than how I was last year when it comes to the academic. So communication with Olalekan, yeah, it's good. Communicating to people, it's all about it's a two-way thing.
Right.
It's a two-way thing, not me just talking, and the second person is not understanding what I'm saying.
Right. I mean, it is a bi-directional process where, people have to not only, think about what they're going to say next, which is, I'll be perfectly honest. I covered this point last time with my last guest, actually. My job right now as like an interviewer or a podcaster sometimes is twofold because I really have to do active listening to empathize with my guest. But at the same time, like in the back of my mind, I'm thinking about what the next question is, for me to ask them, which sometimes a lot of people would frown on that and think, okay, well, if you're thinking about your next question, you're not exactly listening. I'm actually trying to do both.
So what did I say?
Yeah, I think Lonergan would be content with what with the way I try to do things. But
so far it's real.
The what?
So far it is real.
It's real. It's definitely yeah. Like we're chasing the real. We're chasing the good, the ultimate good. So I'm definitely gonna read. I'm gonna try my best to read more stuff like articles about Lonergan. That would be interesting.
Yeah.
So Lekan, it's 11 a.m. today, right now. What would you like to talk about?
Oh, well, we have a potluck today.
We have a potluck.
I wish they could allow me to talk, like maybe give us an avenue, because it's more like a send-forth party, if I'm right, for
Mary France.
Yeah. So I wish I could talk about her a little bit for like 2-3 minutes if they give us the opportunity.
Right, yeah.
Because she taught to me when I was in 2022, and I had a class online. She had to teach me how to use the e-Concordia library.
Right.
And she was the chair when Nigeria called them HOD. So she was head of department.
Right.
Yeah, you call them chair. So someone of a caliber, like head of department, teaching a student how to use a Concordia library, teaching a student how to use something in school is being humble.
Oh yeah, it's definitely an act of humility.
Yeah,
which all the snobs that there are right there.
Which you don't get in my country like that often. There are some that can help you out, but it's not often like that. So,
yeah.
And she gave some stuff too when I first came to Canada winter. She gave me gloves. She gave me jacket.
Really?
Yeah, like you need to be prepared for the winter.
That's amazing. I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
That's so nice of her.
So I think I need to talk. I'm excited though. Are you coming?
Yeah, I'll be there. I'll be late though. I told Scott because I have a couple of people on the podcast later, which I'll announce at the end of the show. So it's a pretty big podcasting day for me today, which is nice. We're gonna have in total 9 episodes, right? Ooh. Already 6 episodes in the bank, which is pretty good. I feel like I'm ahead of the curve, which is great. But yeah, I'm pretty excited to say my farewell to Mary France if she's leaving, and obviously I'm not going to post the show before she leaves. Not that anyone is probably going to have time to check in on it beforehand. So
Nandom and I, we are going with a Nigerian jollof rice.
Nigerian
jollof rice.
Jello fries.
Yeah, Nigerian jollof rice.
What is that? Please describe.
It's more like jollof rice is a dish. It's an international dish that has been causing rifts between countries in Africa. Like which jollof rice is the best? Ghana will say my jollof rice is the best. Senegalese will say my jollof rice is the best.
You know what? I'm gonna look that up right away to see what jello fries are.
Ghanaians will say. So it's more like there is this rivalry between this jollof rice of a thing.
Jollof rice.
JLJO.
LLO. Okay, so let's take a look at that, folks. I'm going to show you that, guys. So jollo. This looks tasty. It looks like curry and rice, and so let's take a look at that.
So it's it will be chicken.
With chicken.
Yeah.
Okay. You can put like shrimp.
No, just normal chicken.
Classic even Nigerian by Kitchen Butterfly. So let's take a look. August 2016. So it looks like this.
It looks like this.
Wow. Okay, let's show the audience. All right, guys. So take a look at this, guys. So this is a jollof rice dish. Don't know if you guys can see. So this is jollof rice. You can definitely zoom in.
I hope people will like it.
Yeah, I mean, I am definitely going to take a full spoon of that to taste what that is. That's great. I mean, I really got lazy, and I just settled to buy a rack of like egg sandwiches.
This morning?
No, not this morning. I haven't even bought it yet, so I have to like go run somewhere, and that's why I'm going to be late. So. But yeah, like I think egg sandwiches will do the trick for me. Just to make sure that everybody is fed. I would say. So jollof rice, man. Okay, so and basically in Nigeria, is that the main dish?
No, it's not the main dish. Each tribe is having their own dish.
Interesting. Okay.
But this is more like a common dish. So more like, let's say, Christmas or ceremonies. Almost all weddings in Nigeria serve this.
I've been to like one of my friends back in biochemistry. He invited me to his graduation party. So he invited some classmates from biochem, his family members, and it was a pretty big party. They rented out a gymnasium at a school for the venue, and his sisters and cousins were basically catering the food at a table. And I was passing by. I was like, okay, wow, this is interesting food right here. I didn't remember what exactly the food was. Definitely some Nigerian food because the guy's Nigerian.
Jollof rice must be there. There is no
probably yeah.
It must be there. It's like
it must be there.
80% of all ceremonies must have jollof rice.
Okay, so I'm pretty sure I ate the jollof rice and didn't know that it was jollof rice.
Really?
But there was one dish that had I think it was some animal's ankle meat.
Oh.
Right, like some animal's foot. Or
was
something.
it peppery?
What was that?
Was it peppery?
I'm not sure, but it really looked like some animal's ankle.
Yeah.
Like a tubular, like a circular disc-shaped piece of meat that was centered with like a bone.
I think it should be like pepper soup.
Pepper soup.
I think so.
Pepper soup, yeah. So yeah, but that was good meat actually. It was some sort of some mammal's meat. So that was I'm a big meat lover. Despite the fact I'm, we're doing Lent right now, like a Catholic Lent. Good. So like I'm not eating meat for 40 days, which is a massive challenge. So I've doubled down on McDonald's McFish burger. So I mean, which is basically not doing Lent properly because I have to feel that I'm sacrificing something, which I am. I mean, like it's hard not to eat meat. But yeah, I mean, jollof rice, man, I can't wait to get my mouth into it. So yeah, so what about the potluck?
But before I've done my project defense on Olalekan. I said I will be speaking on music.
Right, yeah, you presented. You were, I think, were you first? Oh no, Ridge was first.
I was the second.
You were second. Yeah, and I was fourth.
Yeah. It was
talk about
good, man. Well, I don't know.
I mean, does it feel good to at least get it out of your system? So you got it out of your system, it's out of the way, now you can focus on the reflection.
Yeah, in fact, that was my first presentation in Concordia.
Really?
Yeah, that looks more official.
Wonderful.
The one we did last semester was just reading it, but this one was the first, and I saw how people made their slides.
Right.
I had my own slide, but I was not bold enough to project it, and because I just wanted to learn first how people do their things here.
I see. Okay.
So, but I spoke on music, Pentecostalism, how they see music.
Right.
How Seventh-day Adventists they see music, and I'm still partnering with that to use Orthodox Church or the Catholic Church.
Right.
How they see music.
You see, like, and I really liked your presentation, honestly. Like, and I remember I did comment at the end. I asked a question or something. And music is so fundamental. And you were asking me like the other day about how much of the service is dedicated to music. And yeah, I'm just putting coffee mug down here. So music is such an interesting component that I have, guilty as charged, I've really overlooked, especially in my spiritual upbringing. Like I've always focused on the intellectual side, like the sermon, the homily that certain priests or pastors would give. So I'd focus more on the words that people would use when they talk, and I would music would just fly over my head. But now I have a deeper appreciation for music, you know, and each Christian family, as I mentioned on Monday, each Christian denomination is going to have their own use of music. Like when I went to Baptist church, you know, a couple months back, I noticed that, you know, singing and piano are super important, you know, in the Baptist church. Like they sing a lot of English songs, some of which are Old English, right? You know, I went to a couple of Orthodox services, and the mysticism marries well the music that they employ for their services, their divine liturgies, and especially in the Catholic tradition. If you're gonna compare like Protestant with Catholic, like I'm doing, the Latin songs and chants, the choir has a huge role, right? It's like the Latin language in music is heavily used. So yeah, it's a nice myriad of different things. And can you elaborate on like the evil side of music?
The evil side of music.
Right. Yeah.
Uh,
Like, I remember you mentioned that during the presentation, and perhaps like that's something that people don't know enough about.
well, I don't want to say it's the evil side of the music because I've not done research onto it, but we know there are evil side of music.
Yeah.
To the Christians, using instruments to accomplish some music, to them invoke the spirit of the evils.
Interesting.
Summoning the evil spirit out will now be the one bringing out the emotions on people, which they are trying to stop. Like Zimbabwe, a Seventh Adventist church in Zimbabwe, when the missionaries got there, music to them was a way of life.
Mm-hmm.
During their cultural rituals, their cultural ceremonies, music, and they use instruments, and they believe these instruments were used to worship the devil.
Interesting. Okay.
So instead of using the instrument to worship the devil and bringing them to the church, they had to stop it.
But what is their justification to link instrument usage with summoning up demons or the devil or whatever?
And that's what I'm saying, because they were using them in the olden days to summon the devil up.
Right. And did they know that they were summoning a devil, or were they just...
It was their own cultural belief.
Okay, so they were oblivious to the fact that they were summoning... That it was probably like a pagan practice.
Yeah. And I think that's
incognizant of what they were doing.
And I think that was why I think the Catholic Church, the Orthodox Church too, stopped it.
Mm-hmm.
They were not using instruments because they believe it's part of pagan worship.
Mm-hmm.
Which I still trying to question, though maybe I still need to do some research on that, because well, Catholic Church is more traditional and spiritual.
Mm-hmm.
There are some traditional doctrines that is still linked to pagan practice. So why banning the use of instruments in church? But now I think they use music and they use instruments.
Yeah, well, they do, especially more modernist Catholic churches. They do use the org, like I mentioned, when I texted you about the org. Like, let's say if you go to St. Joseph's Oratory, I've been there a couple of times. I highly recommend anybody go there. It's a wonderful place, a wonderful place. It's a gem that we have here in Montreal. A huge church. So when you walk in, if you take a look backward and you look up, there's like a massive org with the sound wave tubes that are basically that eject the sound as people play the org, and the org is like a massive piano. So pianos are often used in church services. I've seen it in the Baptist church. I've seen it in evangelical churches as well. One of the evangelical churches that I'm friends with, Greater Grace Evangelical Church, non-denominational. They play the guitar at the front. I've seen a Lutheran pastor as well at a Lutheran church in Dollard des Armeaux. He plays the guitar at the front. So singing and playing music is an intricate part of Christian worship. Now, a lot of people may think that it has been used to summon up devils and that kind of thing, but I don't, like, personally, having grown up in a Christian home, I would take it for granted. Like, the piano is a very useful thing in services. So and yeah,
I feel it's just the usage that matters. It's not banning it totally,
right.
because sometimes an instrumentalist can be emotionally overwhelmed and starts going loud and loud and loud, that the sound of the instrument will be louder than the lyrics of the
Right.
song.
Okay.
And that's why I feel it is a no-no. So
Yeah, that would be misuse.
yeah, that would be misuse. So, and I think that is what they should stop, not banning it totally.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, a proper dosage of basically the singing versus the actual beat
Yeah.
should be monitored. Yeah, because I do agree that what is being said in the choir or the singing is more important because the actual wording constitutes the message, right? So I would totally agree that what's being said has to be a bit louder than the actual music,
Yeah.
right? So that the music doesn't drown out the song, right?
And I think that is why maybe all this secular music, we have the beats louder than the wordings, if I'm right, because I don't really listen to them again.
I am not a big fan of secular music, like especially the way it's going. I think a lot of it really portrays a lot of debauchery. I don't think that the beat is overstepping the lyrics. Um, Not that I've noticed. Perhaps if I re-listen to certain songs, if you have examples, I might notice that. Oh, okay, well, perhaps
But
the sound.
maybe because I'm not good in rap music, but I know when I listen to rap music, I only I don't really understand what the person is saying. So
You're not the first person who actually tells me that. I've had like Haitian friends, or just even other friends from other cultures tell me that sometimes like this rap music, like we don't understand anything. Like what's the person even? Maybe they don't even understand what they're saying.
yeah.
Right, which is even worse. Like just saying a whole bunch of gibberish. But yeah, like what is said is super important. Like the lyrics are very important. Sometimes I was amazed to discover, you know, and be disappointed that certain lyrics and songs were so freaking dark and horrible.
Mm.
One song that I did search and look thoroughly into was Hotel California. I was like, okay, Hotel California was a big hit when it came out. I think it was the 70s or 80s by the Eagles. And I look at the lyrics and I'm going, what the hell is this? It's so freaking demonic. And like, whoa, what are they talking about? Like, it's supposed to be a nice, take it easy type of song. And you have these lyrics that are so freaking evil. Right. I mean, there are a bunch of songs that are like that, and yeah, I definitely see that music has been an outlet to express the devil. Like, I mean, just last night I was listening to a song that was it was part of a movie that I watched recently. The movie's title is American Satan.
Oh.
Right. So, and I mean, the beat was nice. I was attracted to that song, but at the same time. When people are explicitly, conjuring up the devil in their songs, especially metal and music, is like it's a shame. It's a total shame. Like it could have been directed in another direction. It could have been thrown into another direction, right? So.
And well, I'm still studying, so I don't want to. And I even noticed maybe one of the things I'm still battling with here in Canada is most people are in the train. You see that most people are plugged,
right,
and they are with their phones,
right,
and so there is no social interaction. So everybody is more like individualistic.
That's right. That's
well,
true.
and I came from a community-based environment.
Really?
Yeah. So like everybody just want to talk with everybody,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, everybody's plugged and on their phone.
Yeah.
But now I'm thinking like instead of just using my own phone too, let me get a book and be reading in the plane in the train.
Yeah, I'm more of a book person too. I try to pull out my book. I read. I'm reading Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor.
I won't tell you what I'm reading.
Okay. It's it could be. We'll say it off the record. So
it's how to read people.
How to read people. Okay, that's
like a book. How to read people like a book.
And who's the author?
I've forgotten the name. I didn't check the author. But for the start saying I'm reading people.
Yeah, like I'm glad that you brought up that observation of looking at people in the train and you're like, okay, well, a lot of people are on their phones. I sometimes try to count the number of people on the wagon that are on their phone and versus the people that are not, because it seems like people want to be constantly fed with information, which is a massive amount of clutter, right? So like I'd be looking around to say, okay, there's one person here, one person there, one person there. Okay, so out of like 15 people, there are 13 that are on their phone, maybe 2 people that are asleep or something, or I don't know.
But by the way, I've misplaced. No, I've missed my bus station too because I was glued to this phone.
Really? Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I was supposed to drop at Leneguru.
Okay.
And I was like, Atwata. I was like, wow. So I had to cross to the other side. So it can be so addicting.
Yeah, especially if you have your earbuds on, like, and you don't hear what the lady's saying, like on the train, like, okay, well, you're gonna miss your station. I think it happened to me maybe once or twice. If it weren't for the audio that would signal what station we're at, I would have missed a lot of stations. And I've used public transportation for years. So, but yeah, it's very interesting to see how people are, and if you go back a decade earlier, having 4G or LTE network on the train on the metro was not possible just a decade ago here in Canada. Like one time I tried calling a girl, and she was in Toronto, so she was in the subway, and she didn't have any network down there. But nowadays, I think you can start calling people, and even if they're in the subway, they can answer, which is a shitty place to talk to someone because of all the noise. But yeah, like I feel intrinsically against having so much accessibility. Like we want to make sure that everybody has data and Wi-Fi and connection everywhere you go. Like, and case in point, when people go to I don't know camping they go camping like in remote areas where there is little to no connection, it's therapeutic because they can disconnect and just like not have to worry about like, okay, who's texting me, who's calling me, what's happening on social media, and blah blah. Like, fuck that. At some point, you gotta say like, you know what, fuck that. I just need time for myself.
As you're talking about the metro,
yeah,
I remember yesterday night when I was going to work, I had SOS.
SOS, what's that?
I was on network.
Okay, yeah.
I was like, this is not possible. How will I have SOS in Canada?
Right.
I was like, so what is happening? I was like doing airplane. I would put my phone on
airplane mode. Okay.
Put it off again, put it on. I was like, no, it's not possible for me to have SON in the metro.
Wow.
I was scared actually, but I didn't know that it was because of the power outage.
Yeah. Well. So yeah, there was kind of. I think there was a mini thunderstorm yesterday, but it was mostly the freezing rain that caused the power outage. Perhaps the heaviness of the icicles or.
I was just surprised, like for me to have SOS, because it has never happened to me before on my phone. So what is the problem that I have SOS? Well, sometimes I think a lot. I was like, is there someone that has hacked my phone?
Is it an iPhone?
Yeah, it's an iPhone.
Well, iPhones are very, very hard to have viruses and get hacked on.
Yeah.
So because they operate on another special system.
Yeah.
The iOS system.
It's not an open source like Android. Android is an open source.
Right.
So everybody can debug and edit, but.
Mm-hmm. And I use an Android. I use Samsung.
Wow.
A pretty good quality phone. Samsung S1. Galaxy S1 FE, something with a fan edition, a very limited edition type of phone, which I got a really good deal But I was a heavy iPhone user for almost a decade before that, and yeah, I mean, well, yeah, I mean, getting hacked is not fun. Hopefully, it never happens. I've never gotten hacked on my phone. I don't even know how that works, right? So, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. So, but like, do you have plans this summer to disconnect? Like, are you gonna be traveling, just
Oh
to
yeah.
disconnect from everything and take a break or something?
Well, I'll be traveling to Alberta,
Where's that?
Calgary.
In Alberta. Okay, yeah.
Alberta. So
Calgary.
there is this program that is coming up. I'm a Seventh-day Adventist, and Nigerians, Seventh-day Adventists in Canada that are Nigerians are having a camp, a program,
Like a convention.
like a convention.
Oh, I like those. Yeah, I've organized
So they say I should come and be the camp pastor.
the camp pastor. That's great.
Yeah. So that's so I'll be going there from July June 4th, 1st to June 4th. So I'll be there, and I hope to go to Ontario. Hopefully, I'm still not sure. Comme ça.
Right. Well, they don't speak French. Well, some towns do, but like most of them, you're gonna notice how English the rest of Canada is compared to here.
Yeah.
I've been to different towns in Canada, like Halifax, Moncton, Toronto, Ottawa, Mississauga, obviously, Edmonton. Like I notice how Englishified, or yeah, English the rest of Canada is compared to Quebec. Quebec is, drive 30 minutes outside Montreal. If you don't speak French, you are in big trouble. So, and that's kind of like I'm from Toronto, so like I grew up in English, and then I had to, pick up French. But yeah, so it's, how old are the kids going to be at the camp? Like at the
Well, we have it's mixed. We have children, we have adults,
right.
we have married, so it's mixed.
Interesting.
So to me, I feel it's more like a reunion. Seeing people I know in Nigeria, we all meeting together, talking together. So at the moment, that's my major plan for the summer. And maybe full-time job for the summer too. So that's what I'm still thinking for at the moment. I'm going for the camp, full-time job, and still open for enjoyment.
Well, I've never been to Calgary. I've been to Edmonton,
Oh.
and I heard good things about Calgary. Like I heard it's one of the cleanest cities in the world. Probably it's very, very clean, very friendly apparently as well. Yeah, I mean, and like, you know what? Perhaps I may pass by, might fly by, say hi to the whole Nigerian community down there, and then come back home. Yeah, I mean, I'm glad. I'm glad that you're getting to explore, different cities in Canada. Which cities have you visited so far? Like ever since you've come from Nigeria, other than Montreal? Like, have you been in other Canadian cities?
I wanted to say Montreal.
Right.
I went to Ottawa.
Ottawa, yeah.
Yeah, when I wanted to renew my passport.
Okay.
So I went there for recapturing my international passport. So just those two cities.
Did you have to like take a train or something to get there? Or?
No, I took a car.
A car. Okay, you rented a car.
There's this car that goes there. I've forgotten what they call them.
It's Amigo. Is it?
Is it Amigo?
Like a carpooling service? Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I just went there,
and
so I came back same day. I wish, but Ottawa looks calm. When maybe the side I went to, it was calm. Yeah, I think it was calm. But I didn't go far, and I think it was just outskirts of the city that I went to, so I cannot really talk about how it looks like. But that side was calm.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised that you'd say that because Ottawa has a smaller population as well. So, I think it is calmer in a sense. I remember back in 2015, Ottawa is not really known for their nightlife, right? So they're not very. It's not a party city, and yet, like I've had one of the most amazing party experiences in Ottawa. Like back in 2015, I was 20 back then, and I really, for some reason, like freaking Ottawa, like I enjoyed Ottawa for the night, even though we kind of got brushed out. You get kicked out at like 2 a.m. So like 2 in the morning, like they shut everything down, and here they kind of stretch it to like 3:30. They're a bit more relaxed about that. So we had to go back to our hotel rooms. because I was at a convention actually, and you know, one party night that really stood out for me was in Ottawa. I really enjoyed the night. I don't remember the name of the club uh, back then, but it was just a freaking amazing experience. I think it's kind of underrated, especially around the marketplace area. But yeah, Ottawa has nice events. Like they have nice Indigenous events. I think there was like a plant festival one year that I went to, and I really liked the exhibition that they had. So yeah, like Capital City, Parliament Hill. That's a very nice go-to place for any Canadian.
And I was told summer here will be bubbling and full of life.
Really?
In Montreal, that the summer will be bubbling.
Well, yeah, Montreal in the summertime is freaking amazing. Like,
so I'm still hoping that we'll enjoy the bubbliness of Montreal.
It's gonna bubble. It's definitely
Then
gonna bubble.
I plan going. There is a fall I saw online. I think I should go there. I think in Quebec City.
Yeah, that's another one.
So I think I'm going there for vacation. No, not for vacation, just for tour, sightseeing.
Says yeah. Well, I mean, if you're a history buff, there are a lot of historical sites because like the English and French War on the Abrahamic Plains over there. Like they still have like cannons. Well, I mean, I haven't been there since like 2010. So yeah, but they have like if you like historical landmarks. Again, it's a smaller population, but still like it's a super interesting city for to know about Canadian history, Quebec history rather. So yeah, you're really gonna enjoy Quebec City. Like one town that I have yet to explore is Vancouver because I had a layover last year on my way to Thailand in the summertime. But I didn't have time to explore the city. Like apparently Vancouver's another gem in Canada. So yeah, I mean like if you're exploring Canada, especially when you're coming from a different country, there are a lot of wonderful places that you can definitely explore. So yeah, Calgary. I mean, let's talk more about. So since it's a Seventh Day Adventist convention, I think we briefly covered the faith, like the SDA faith.
Yeah.
So is there like anything that you didn't cover last time you were on the episode on the?
Yeah, I think I did a mistake. Thank you. I said 27 fundamental beliefs. It should be 28 fundamental beliefs. Not
28.
Yeah, not 27.
Do you know them by heart or like?
Well, I know, but yeah, I know some by heart, not heart.
Right. I mean, yeah, 28 is a lot to retain, right? So, but so if the audience wants to know a couple of like maybe 3 or 4 fundamental beliefs that really distinguish the SDA church, what would they be?
The first one is the Bible.
The Bible. Okay.
The second one is Trinity.
Mm-hmm.
Trinity. Then we talked about that. That's two. Then we have God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit. Then we talk about the Sabbath, because that's the Sabbath. Sabbath is a major thing that differentiates us from most of the other people because we worship on the seventh day. The Sabbath, the creation story, talk about the resurrection, talk about the life ministry of Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about resurrection. I think I've talked about that, right? We talk about stewardship.
Stewardship, yeah.
Stewardship.
I remember you mentioned that.
Yeah. The 40s under stewardship. 40s.
40s.
Yeah. So we summarize stewardship under 40s.
Interesting. What are they?
The 40s like time. The time God needs your time. Talents, what you're good at. Temple, that's your body.
Right.
See your treasure. That's like your money.
Treasure. Okay. So, wow. I like that. The 4-pronged approach to using the letter T. I'm definitely gonna take note of that. Like the 4 T's. To build my life around that because those are 4 very important departments in human life. The 4 T's. I'm quite impressed. I have never been to an SDA service, even though I looked some online, and there are a couple of SDA services at 11 a.m. somewhere, like in West Island, I think.
Is it too late to invite you for the Sabbath?
For Saturday, the thing is, it depends on what time it might be. Like,
what time do you want to come?
I would prefer early in the morning because I work on Saturday. So
what time? Define your early in the morning.
Early. I mean, I can show up as early as 8, 9, 10 a.m.
No. The service is by 11. Okay, 9:30 to like 1 thereabout. It's a music program.
Interesting. Yeah.
You know, this brought up about the idea of my research paper. Brought about my research paper, like music, music, music. So there's a music program coming up this Saturday in church. So I guess I'm going to see overflow of people again.
Hopefully, yeah. I mean, especially since COVID, because I remember last year when back in February 2022 when they reopened, religious establishments like churches, mosques, synagogues, that kind of thing, temples. I remember the first weekend when they had reopened churches. I that first Sunday I went to 7 back-to-back services.
7.
Yeah, about 7 services. I would obviously not from A to Z because like I showed up like midway in some services just to catch a few things. And yeah, I remember I was driving around and I was like, okay, you know what, I'm gonna go full throttle. They just reopened churches, so yeah, I showed up to like 7 services because during COVID it was either limited capacity, but sometimes they would make sure that or they would have stricter measures where folks wouldn't even attend church in person, which is a bummer for a lot of churchgoers. So people would have to listen to services online. But when they reopened, like I went all over the place. So I think I went to an Anglican service, then a Lutheran service, then a couple of Pentecostal services. One of them was a oneness Pentecostal service where I kept in touch with a pastor and I had coffee with him the following week. I think 2 weeks later. Or was it a month later, actually? So a oneness Pentecostal. First time I ever heard that. And what made me, what drew my attention was when the pastor it was an all black church. So I was the only white guy there. So the pastor mentioned something, I think, against the Trinity. I was like, okay, well, I'm wondering why he doesn't believe in the Trinity. But then they have like a biblical explanation as to why they don't believe the Trinity. The guy was a super good guy. Like it was his assistant pastor that had coffee with me, and he, went into the Bible. He brought his Bible at the coffee table, and we went through different passages. Okay, interesting. Okay, so you don't believe in the Trinity because of this and that. And a lot of people would say, especially Muslims, would perhaps say that the Trinity is a fabricated concept because the Bible doesn't explicitly mention it, or the Injil, or whatever, the Quran perhaps. How important is the Trinity in the SDA Church?
Very important. We call them the three head.
Three-headed.
They all work together,
right,
for the salvation of human beings. That reminds me, on Friday, I was coming for the program. Was it on Friday also? I met a Muslim brother, and he asked me a question like, "How do you see Jesus?
Mm-hmm.
Is he part of the Godhead?" And I said, "Yes." That is he a messenger? I said, he is not a messenger.
Wasn't that the Muslim Awareness Week here in LB building?
Yeah, it was the metro.
Oh, in the metro. Okay.
Yeah. It was like Jesus was a messenger because even Jesus Christ did not portray himself as God. But say he came here to do his Father's will, who is God.
Right.
So I was trying to reason with him, but I still have to do my own personal study.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I feel like I'm very excited by dialogue with Muslims. I enjoy talking about this with especially if they're open-minded, receptive Muslims. Yeah. And when they had an event over here, like the Muslim Awareness Week, I believe, here at the LB building last week, I got intercepted by a Muslim fellow. He was a undergrad student in software engineering. Spoke to him, got his number and everything, and we discussed Jesus, because that was the main point of attraction. Because one of the questions they had on the wall was, "Do we love Jesus?" And he said, "Yeah, we do love Jesus as Muslims." I was like, "Okay, well, wonderful." And then they would basically present arguments to justify their own theology, right? And now, the way that I basically dialogue with this particular person was by telling them that, look, if according to your Muslim doctrine you follow up on it with something that makes sense, if it's sensical to you to believe that Christ is perhaps not God.
God.
And if it's sensical in our lane as Christians to believe that Christ has a dual nature, divine and human, then as long as there's consistency in your lane and we have consistency in our lane, I think we're fine. Like you can believe, or else Muslims would not be Muslims. Muslims would be Christians and Christians would be Muslims if we were to believe the same thing. And it's totally fine to disagree. Like I'm someone who's very ecumenical, where a lot of people don't like ecumenicism. I know some evangelicals, some evangelicals don't subscribe to ecumenicism. A lot of Catholics, like Pope Pius XI, apparently was not a fan of ecumenism. But yeah, it's interesting to have dialogues with other people's, with people from other faiths because then they get to shed light on their own beliefs, and then we can have a dialogue. And then I was trying to ask him okay, well, hold on a second. So Muhammad was around in the year 600. So Islam blossomed in the Middle Ages, right? And in the year 600. I told him, do you know about the Apocrypha? Right? Because there are a lot of apocryphal writings that, pretended or passed as Christian writings, which did not make the Bible, that are so similar to the content of the Quran, right? And I'm not sure if he knew about it. But it all came down to the fact that the Quran is so holy and so sacred for Muslims that for them to deviate from whatever it's teaching them would be apostasy in the Muslim sense. But it doesn't prevent questioning the validity of Quranic content and the validity of biblical content as well.
I don't know. I may be wrong. I'm just my own thinking. I feel the Bible is open for research.
Right.
Why the Quran is not really open for research.
Okay, and why would it not be open for research? I'm very curious to know. Why?
And that's what I think. Look at what is happening to the Bible now, because we have so many research. We have different denominations. We have different beliefs. We have different ideology about the Bible.
Right.
Do we have different ideology about the Quran also? But at least it is not as big as that of the Muslim sector. So it's more like their own is more like streamlined.
Right.
Because it is not really open for discourse.
That is super interesting, and I'll tell you why. Because, I'm not very cognizant of the different denominations in Islam. I just know that there are Sunni and Shiites, right? And I'll give you two examples. Like Saudi Arabia is heavily Sunni, and Iran is heavily Shiite, right? So, but beyond that, I don't know how. Apparently, there are different denominations that are very marginal, like the Alawites, the Sufis. They're different Muslim denominations. But the two major ones are Sunnis and Shiites.
So compared to the Christian folks.
Yeah, well, I mean the Christian faith. Well, we categorized Christians as Catholic, Orthodox, and Protestant, but within those you have a multitude of derivatives. Not only in Protestant, but even in Orthodox and Catholicism, you have conflicting denominations. I don't like to say conflicting, but let's say diverging.
And I think the Bible is one of the most critique book in the world.
Right.
If I'm right.
And I would agree with that. And what may justify that is the fact that the Bible was translated in different languages. So basically, languages would indicate different cultural verbiage that may be used. Like, Hebrew has its own cultural lingo, and Greek versus Latin and English, especially like Old English, the King James Version. And German, like what Luther was writing, and he wrote the New Testament, I believe, in German. He translated it from either Latin or Greek, probably Greek. But yeah, the thing is, I was almost begging the guy to give me Quran in Arabic.
To teach you?
No, he didn't have a Quran. He only had English versions of the Quran. So they were giving out goodie bags.
Oh, they have English version now.
Yeah, they have English versions of the Quran, and I think they've had this Muslim Awareness Week for a couple of years now, because I remember back in 2014 or 15, same place, at the same time, they were handing out Qurans. The Qurans was in English. So now I have like two English versions of the Quran, which I can probably compare back.
I think I need one.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely lend you mine.
Oh yeah,
I haven't read it yet. But yeah, I was like talking about, do you have the Arabic version? Because I know that they know that the Arabic version is the heralded version of the Quran, right? And from there, I could do my own linguistic research and try to figure out what the meaning is behind all the everything that's written in there. Surah. Surah means chapter, right? So yeah, I mean, but I'm glad that you mentioned that, you spoke to a Muslim brother, because they definitely are brothers in the faith.
I don't have any issue about with denominations. In fact, this Friday, I'm going to Salvation Army to worship with them.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah.
At a mosque?
No, Salvation Army is a Christian movement.
Okay, so you're going to the Salvation Army.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Then on Sunday, I should go to another church to worship. I got an invite from a friend, a colleague.
Interesting.
So I'm going there to worship. So it's not like I go to people's churches to worship and just have the experience, because we all worship the same God.
Yeah, I mean,
and that is what some people don't understand. We have the same God. We have different teachings, different doctrines, but we still have the same God. So
yeah, we do. We share the same God with the Jews and the Muslims. That's for sure. Like all the monotheistic religions converge their sight.
Even Itihar, African traditional religion, they believe in God.
The same God.
They believe there is a supernatural being outside the space that created the world. So there's still this conscience that there is a supernatural being. So why can't I worship? So far we are saying God or Yahweh. I still believe we will worship the same God. So I don't need to be against a denomination because of their own belief.
Yeah, I mean, I dislike when people, especially folks in the Christian faith, when people mention that Allah is not the same God as God. Like, I really frown, and I found that cringe, because at the bottom line, Allah and God, whether people like it or not, is the same. Like, if this is Allah and someone else saying this is God and there's someone else saying this is Yahweh, well, this is the same being, right? We're looking at, like, if I'm pointing at the microphone, we're looking at the same microphone, we're looking at the same being, right? So, like, I don't understand a theological backing that would basically argue that, well, Allah and God are not the same God, because we're referring to the same being, we're the same higher power. It's just that, linguistic and semantic differences. You're getting a phone call, are you?
Yeah.
Well, whatever. Yeah, so like the linguistic and semantic differences propel people to believe that, Allah and God are not the same, but they're actually the same. And, I would even stretch it further, because when I was in Thailand, 95% of Thailand is Buddhist. And I noticed how their piety and their worship, even though they're worshiping a different deity,
was there? They still believe there is something they're worshiping.
Right, that there is a higher power.
There's a higher power. That's what there's this higher power that keeps giving us this consciousness that we are worshiping a higher power.
That's right. And
I think that is the relationship for all these doctrines, all these religion, all these churches, all these believe that there's still this same relationship.
Right.
We have one and higher power.
Right.
A being, as you said, that we are all looking at, but different names, different idea about what this being is. But
it's far easier for the monotheistic religions to agree and have the same common denominator, because of the fact that we are literally worshiping one God. But if I look at, because I've been to a Hindu temple in Toronto, and I've been to a Buddhist temple just recently in Thailand. More than one many Buddhist temples actually. I think perhaps they're polytheistic, but maybe they have a hierarchy in the deities that they worship, with perhaps a source at the top, but I'm not super knowledgeable. I need to sharpen my knowledge about Hinduism and Buddhism to speak on that. But yeah, I was impressed by the piety, like the ecclesiological or liturgical practice, as Orokia may have
Yeah.
corrected me on that, which is thanks Orokia on Monday. Yeah, liturgy is super important, and if I ever go to an SDA church, that's something I'm really going to look into. That's why I visit all these different churches. I want to know what their practical liturgy is.
Yeah. Well, I will be expecting you one day, hopefully.
Yeah, what's the name of the church, by the way? Like the
LaSalle. New Life. I'll send it to you.
New Life.
New Life SDA Church.
It's in West Island?
No, it's LaSalle.
In LaSalle. Okay, in LaSalle. Yeah, I might have because I was looking at churches last year on the internet, and if the service is at 11 a.m., that's probably the one that I came across. But
No, worship starts 9:30.
9:30. Okay.
Yeah, we have a long worship, my brother.
Mm-hmm.
Our worship section is long.
How long?
9:30 to 1.
Wow.
No, 9 to 1.
9:30 to 9 to 1. That's like, well, I mean, Orthodox Christianity is known to have long services.
Oh.
Like I went to an Egyptian Coptic Orthodox. I think I was in there for at least 3 hours. But then I got escorted out by my friend because I was not allowed to partake in the sacrament, which is something that a lot of Orthodox churches uphold. If someone is not of the particular faith, like the Orthodox faith, you can't, like, normally you shouldn't have their Holy Communion, because apparently their transubstantiation is unique to Orthodox faith, which I respected, right? So, but obviously if you go to a Catholic church, they're not going to give you a hard time around that. So yeah, like like 4 hours for a worshiping service. That's interesting.
That's what, well, personally, that is what I'm still battling with. Staying that long in the church,
Right?
Because as a church, we believe it's the Sabbath.
Right.
Indeed, we should rest.
Right.
But now most of our activities are now on the Sabbath.
Right.
So we don't tend to rest again.
Yeah, I know it takes a toll on you because you got to sit there for a couple of hours and.
Yeah, and after church we have another program. And you get them tired, and they're like, tomorrow is Sunday. So
the actual resting day becomes Sunday, right? Despite the fact that the Sabbath is on Saturday.
Well, in Nigeria, actually, that is Nigeria. The economy system here is different from Nigeria. You work per hour, you get paid. So it's as you work, you get paid.
Right.
But in Nigeria, you are paid monthly.
Interesting. Okay.
So weekends are free.
Weekends are free. Okay.
In the sense that if you don't go to work on weekends.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they still pay you.
Okay.
But yeah, if you want to get more money, you have to go to work on weekends, maybe on Sunday.
Yeah, because they kind of micromanage, like especially if you're paid by the hour.
Yeah.
Some jobs you're paid contractually, like for the year. So let's say you sign for $55,000 a year, $65,000, like, and some jobs are unionized, others are not. Like I've had
job unionized.
Unionized means that you have a union that protects you from any type of exploitation, from losing your job, from like they fight for your salary, they fight for your working conditions. Like I worked for a major beverage company called Molson Coors a couple of years back, and we were heavily unionized, and it's one of the most unionized places that I've been working for, and they're known to be unionized. So I was working inside sales over the phone, and if our shift ended at 4 p.m., we were expected to shut everything off at 4 p.m. So I couldn't push more sales or do more work past 4 p.m. because I wasn't allowed to work. That's when it's heavily unionized, and which is a good thing, right? Because if it prevents your boss from exploiting you as a resource, and it enforces a level of respect between the employer and the employee. I'm for that, for sure. But yeah, I mean, it has its ups and downs. Like especially if somebody is super driven, unions sometimes may get in the way for people to work more if they want to work more. But there are like collective conventions here in Canada where, let's say, like if you work over 40 hours, by the law, you should be paid overtime wage, like 1.5 times more than what you do per hour, that kind of thing. I'm not sure, not super cognizant about legalistic realities. But yeah, like if you're working more than 40 hours, then you have to get paid more and that kind of thing.
So like in Nigeria, I was saying, work days are just Mondays to Fridays.
Right.
Now those are legit work actually, unless you are on the street or have a small grocery store. So you have to rest using the weekend,
Right.
or you go for parties, or you do go. So there is this restness you have during the week. You're always happy for the weekend, but here every day is a weekday.
Pretty much.
Sunday is a weekday. Saturday is a weekday.
Yeah. I mean, most people don't work on Saturdays and Sundays, which is.
You think so?
Yeah. I do because I work part time and I'm studying, so like it's kind of normal for me to, and Easter Sunday is right around the corner, right? So I'm not gonna be like, we're not gonna be working on Easter Sunday. Like I didn't work on Christmas Day, that's for sure.
Yeah, I was even surprised about the Easter. Like there is public holiday in Canada for Easter. I was like happy, When in Nigeria they always give us holidays a lot. We have a lot of holidays.
You don't have holidays?
We have a lot of
a
holidays.
lot of holidays. Okay.
When Nigeria is a stressed country, everybody's always up and doing. So when we have public holiday, everybody's happy. Well, not almost everybody.
So what holidays do you have in Nigeria that we don't have here in Canada? Like
The Muslim breaks.
The what?
The Muslim breaks.
The Muslim breaks. Oh, okay, interesting. Like the Ramadan.
Yeah, Ramadan. We have a lot of Muslim breaks. We have Christian breaks. Yeah. And we have Democracy Day. We have Children's Day. Well, it's only for the children. Children's Day. And we have quite a number of holidays in Nigeria actually. So.
Yeah, that's Children's Day sounds nice. I mean, I think in Canada, in different provinces they have Family Day, and I think Groundhog Day as well. No, I think Groundhog Day is more of an American thing, but they have Family Day, which is something we don't have in Quebec.
Oh.
Right, because Quebec has two national holidays. Because we have on July 1st we have Canada Day, but a week before that on June 24th we have the Quebec national holiday, like the Saint John Baptiste. Right.
So we're expecting holiday.
Yeah, so you get back-to-back holidays in the summertime.
Why summer now? It's not been summer. It's like maybe in the winter.
Right. I mean, I think as like as a student now, given that we study from September to April, right? It's hard for me to have a vacation in that time bracket, despite the fact that those are like the coldest months of the year, and ironically, those are the months that we're actually working in, mostly working and studying, especially as a student. But yeah, like it's like I did a lot of traveling during the summertime, and like Thailand in the summertime is super hot. Like when I went to Thailand, like last summer.
Where are you going to this year?
What was that?
Where are you going to this year?
Where am I going to this year? You know what? I would really like to go to Japan. I'm not sure if I'm going to do it, but and the reason why is because last year I had an incident where like I flew to Los Angeles to then fly over to Tokyo, and they had shut their borders a couple of days after I had purchased my ticket, so they had to fly me back to Quebec, and I worked for the next 3 weeks and then flew to Thailand to have a 1 week vacation. But I was planning on a full month in Asia, which didn't happen, obviously. So yeah, just to get back at it, I wanted to this time, score and make sure that, hey, I'm going to Japan this year and feel like I actually got what I wanted out of that vacation that got taken away from me last year, right? So yeah, I might be going to Japan and South Korea this summer. I'm not sure yet. Like I'm probably gonna call Air Canada this time and not go through a third party, because a third party is not going to warn me if there are cancellations or whatnot. So that way, if I call like Air Canada or the aviation agency, the traveling agency, it's on them if something gets messed up. So yeah, that would be where I'd like to go. But I'm super interested in visiting Egypt and Ethiopia, especially for the Orthodox faith. I think they have a lot of interesting places to go to. But yeah, like my dad is not a big fan of me traveling. He doesn't like it when I travel. It's cost me a lot of money, and he knows that it's not a super economical activity. He's like, okay, well, Chris, if you want to go on a vacation somewhere, go to somewhere where there's a beach, like I don't know, South America, Central America, that kind of thing. So yeah, I might change my plans and go to South America just for the scenery and beaches and whatever. But
I still want to try Ethiopia.
Ethiopia,
Yeah, I want to go to Ethiopia and see that church that was underneath church.
yeah, like they have these underground churches.
Yeah,
It's worth looking at.
Yeah.
They're absolutely astonishing.
It's part of the wonders of the world.
Really,
Yeah, I think so.
Ethiopian dugout church. So let's take a look at the images. I'll show the audience as well. It's freaking amazing. Yeah, let's go to images. No, not maps. Images. So yeah, they have these like I don't know how they did this. Like they had to dig through the dirt and
yeah.
So yeah, so take a look at that. Let's just and yeah, I'm definitely gonna put Ethiopia on the list. Just gonna close that. Yeah, so I'm gonna show the audience. So yeah, like there's a massive church-shaped, cross-shaped church that you can see here, and like the crevice that you see in the ground. Yeah, like the crevice is basically the place where you have to go down and you enter the church at the very bottom of the crevice, right? The dugout hole. You just get into the cavity and then you enter the church down there, right? So, yeah, isn't that's freaking amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. The other pictures that. So, but is Nigeria near Ethiopia geographically, or like?
No, it's not.
It's not. So if we look at the African map, let me take a look at a map.
Nigeria is west. I think Ethiopia should be southeast.
So,
east.
So this is a map of Africa and political map, or is it? Yeah, there we go. Okay, so Ethiopia is definitely on the eastern side over here. So you have Eritrea, and where's Nigeria? Nigeria is right there. So yeah, pretty big country.
In the east actually.
And you have Niger right on top.
Yeah.
Niger and Nigeria. Niger's a bit bigger. And Chad and Mali. Yeah, I mean, I have a Moroccan client actually that they're from Morocco, and they really encouraged me to go to Marrakesh and Zagura in Morocco. Apparently, they have nice touristic places there.
No, I used to think Ethiopia is around this Egypt area.
Yeah, you have Sudan right under Egypt. So I mean, it's pretty close by. It's like right here.
While growing up, I used to love drawing.
Yeah.
So I used to draw the map of Africa.
Really, that's
map
fun.
Of the world, like offhand. Like I'll just be sketching it out.
Yeah.
But now I don't draw those stuff again, man. Quite a number of things I don't do again.
I mean, the thing is, like, if you're drawing out the borders between countries on the African continent, it's a nice exercise to train your memory, right? Because you have to remember where, which country is placed next to which, and that kind of thing. So it's a nice, a fun, memory type of exercise.
Then growing up again, there is this family from America that we grew up with.
Right.
They gave me American puzzle.
An American puzzle.
Yeah, about a map of US.
Interesting.
So to an extent, I know the geographic location of some states in the US, even though I've not been there.
Yeah, I'm like I have a pretty good memory for long term. Short term, I'm not that good, and like I'll be honest, like to know I know my Canadian provinces, like their lineup. It's pretty obvious because everything's like horizontal in Canada, but in the States, it's like if you were to ask me like, where would you locate Missouri or Kansas? Like, I'd be like, okay, well, it's Midwest or somewhere in the center, top, or maybe a bit downward, but like it's somewhere in the center, but I'm not sure which one it would be. Like Texas is pretty obvious; it's the lower part. California is out west. New York State is, or Vermont rather is out east. Yeah, some states are easier to locate than others, but most of them are like, because it's patches and patches, right? So, yeah, man. So, are you going to the States soon?
Wrap it up.
Yeah, pretty soon. Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, I should stay till 2 and go and get the Nigerian jollof rice by
Oh, you gotta go get the jello. Oh, I see. Okay. And I have to
Then
go
I'll
get
be
those egg
back.
sandwiches.
Now we're back. You bring a sandwich?
Yeah. Well, I have to buy those egg
Ah.
sandwiches. Yeah. So, anyhow, so look, man. We're gonna have Corey Lebrec today. I think it's Dr. Corey Lebrec. I'm pretty sure he has a PhD at 12:30. And it's already at 12:05. So look, man, you're definitely invited anytime to come back on the show. It's been a blast. I mean, just to shoot the wind and talk about different things. And I'll definitely be uploading this to the YouTube channel pretty soon. It's fun to have a podcast with different guests. So this was Adidiran Olalekan. So now I got
The last time you called my name the way I wanted you to call it, you said Lekan.
Lekan. Yeah, Lekan
Yeah.
is the Nigerian way of saying Ola. Like my friend Adelekan, Olalekan. If you know other names, like I'd be happy to learn them. Names ending with Lekan. All right, folks. So this was it for episode number 7. Lucky 7 for Lucky Olalekan.
7 is a perfect number, so they say.
Right? Yeah. I mean, how like the Seventh Day Adventist. Right there, you go. Like, and I honestly, I did not even plan this. It's a totally random thing.
Maybe God is telling me something.
Yeah, maybe God is good, right?
Yeah, God is telling me
sending
something.
us messages right now. Great. So tune in for Coil Breck, and hopefully you guys enjoyed. And you're back anytime, buddy. All right.
Thank you, Ross.
Thank you for being here. All right, so let's shut this thing off. Oh, that feeling when you take off the headset. It's
Yeah.
with clear hearing afterwards.